So, beautiful people, yesterday, rightfully so, we all celebrated the iconic and historic and emphatic victory of Alex Pereira. I mean, listen, Alex Pereira is absolutely loved and adored by all of the MMA community. But, just because I celebrate Alex Pereira's victory, and from yesterday's video, you might think that I don't like Magomed Ankalaev, but to be honest, that couldn't be any more further from the truth. If you actually think about it, Magomed Ankalaev is truly one of the good guys in the sport. The man is humble, the man is religious, the man is gracious, he doesn't really talk much. I mean, shout out to his manager, Ali Abdelaziz. The man, obviously, he's the one talking, on behalf of Ankalaev on social media. He's the one stirring things up, and rightfully so. I mean, the man should be doing that because he wants you to feel a type of way about Ankalaev. He doesn't want you to be indifferent. He doesn't want you to be nonchalant when you hear about the man's name. So whether you like him or hate him, that's the goal of Ali Abdelaziz. He wants you to be interested. But, let's actually talk about Magomed Ankalaev's career and what's next and what the future holds for the man. I'm going to be very honest. If you actually think about it, the UFC never really wanted the man to become a champion in the first place, let's be honest. They never really wanted to give the man a shot, but the man kept on winning time and time again. I mean, the man went on like a 12-fight win streak before he got a shot, which is absolutely ridiculous if you actually think about it. I mean, most fighters go on 6, 7, 8-fight win streak. I mean, listen, just the thought of a win streak in MMA and especially in the UFC is so impressive, and honestly, we barely see it. We barely see fighters who are able to rack up more than 7, 8, 9 victories. I mean, you can probably count them on 1 or 2 hands, max. And the only true greats are able to build through, an incredible win streak. But, if you actually look at Magomed Ankalaev's career and future, is this just a small hiccup on his road to glory? Or could this actually be the end of his career? Let's talk about it, beautiful people. Listen, I'm going to be honest. It's going to be very, very tough for Magomed Ankalaev to become a champion again. Not because of the skill set. I mean, the man proved that he can literally beat any light heavyweight on any given night. The man proved it. I mean, he did get the best of Alex Pereira in the first fight, even though Alex was compromised, but so was Ankalaev. And even when the UFC finally gave Ankalaev a shot, after more than winning 10 fights in a row, they gave him the shot in Ramadan. What does that tell you? That tells you that they didn't want him to win, to be honest. And you can't blame them. It's because Alex is way more likable, way more marketable, way more... Listen, everything and anything you can think of is on the side of Alex Pereira. But the reason why I think that it's going to be very tough for Ankalaev to become a champion again is not just because the UFC don't necessarily like him, but is Magomed Ankalaev, the human, the spirit, the soul, is he willing to go through the absolute gauntlet once again, and to go through the politics of MMA, and to go through a murderer's row and win? He's definitely not going to have to win 1 or 2 fights before he gets back on top. They're definitely not going to make it easy for him. That's for certain. Because history is our horoscope, and history shows us that they don't really like him. And I can't blame them, to be honest. Listen, he is a Muslim, humble man, love the man. Absolutely love Ankalaev, but gotta be honest, I wanted Pereira to win. I wanted Pereira so bad to win. And I was so happy for Alex. But, let me tell you this. Is Magomed Ankalaev, the human, willing to go through what he went through? Because let me tell you this, beautiful people, if you go back and watch that second Pereira fight, which took place a couple of days ago now, the way that Ankalaev shelled up and the way that he just surrendered and the way that he was on the back foot, I mean, Alex definitely put the fear of God in him. Alex definitely pressed the action early, pressed him up against the ropes, kept feinting the left hook. He was worried about the left hook and he came back with the right hand and cleaned his clock, hurt him. But the way that that finish transpired, if you look at the body language of Ankalaev, you can tell that the man didn't want to be there anymore. When it happened, I thought of Zabit Magomed Ankalaev, if you guys remember him. Only the true hardcore fans will remember Zabit. But Zabit simply left the game because he was like, listen, I don't want to go through this, all the fame and all the media and all the attention. I mean, it is so draining. And we saw Zabit break in front of our eyes, and he left the game. I'm not saying that Ankalaev will retire, of course not, even though you never know really what could happen and what the future holds for him. But the way that he shelled up and the way that he surrendered, he I saw him giving out signs that, listen, I don't want to be here anymore. He is a human at the end of the day. And he reads all the comments, all the hate. I mean, everybody, most people hate Ankalaev, He definitely felt it, He was like, what am I doing here? 20,000 people all cheering on Pereira. He's the champion. Pereira came aggressive at him. You can tell that Ankalaev simply didn't want to be there. So the way that Ankalaev shelled up in the fight, I don't know, I'm not too sure. That kind of showed me that he's not really willing to go out on a shield. He kind of broke right in front of our eyes. And listen, if there's one positive thing that's going for Ankalaev, other than his incredible skill set, is his manager. He's managed by Ali Abdelaziz. So he's definitely in good hands. He's with the best manager in MMA history. But, yes, Ali works for him. He's going to do what's best for him. But at the same time, you can arguably say that Ali Abdelaziz also works for the UFC. And that is why he keeps on bringing all the talented fighters to the UFC, keep giving them opportunities, this and that, is because he is on good terms with Dana, Hunter, Mick, and the UFC brass. So if the UFC decided to give Ankalaev, tough competition, and it's always going to be tough competition, but if they want to make him go through the absolute gauntlet again, there's nothing really Ali Abdelaziz can do, if you actually think about it. He's just gonna, keep guiding Ankalaev, telling him that you can win this one, win that one, you'll get closer to the belt, this and that. But in all actuality, if you think about all the factors around Ankalaev, he is in a very tough situation. Honestly, the man is because if he was marketable, they would have already promoted the trilogy. Okay, it's 1-on-1, Dagestani versus an absolute superstar in Poitin, trilogy. But because they don't want the man to get anywhere near a championship setting again, not even a post-fight interview, if you actually think about it. So I definitely feel for Magomed Ankalaev. And listen, I'm going to be honest, this might very well be the end. Not the end of Ankalaev, but the end of Ankalaev being ever a champion again. Like I said, I'm going to say it again, he got all the skills in the world to beat anyone on any given night. No question. It's because, yes, he is a southpaw, but not many southpaws utilize their stance and weapons to the max, but not Ankalaev, His narrow stance, the way that he throws the 2-1, the way that he goes to the body, and that was actually one of the main problems for Pereira in the first fight, is because Ankalaev is a southpaw. You can't really stab him to the body and then go up top with the left hook. And that's how Alex Pereira sets up his violent left hook. He jabs to the body, stabs you to the body, and then comes up top. But when you fight a southpaw, it is extremely hard to go to their body, especially with straight shots, like the jab to the body. So Ankalaev is definitely not an easy fight for anyone. Just because Alex did that to him, that doesn't mean that all of them can do that to him. And who do I would like to see him fight next? Listen, fight Carlos Ulberg. I believe Ulberg versus Ankalaev makes all the sense in the world. I don't believe that Ulberg got the most impressive resume. If you actually look at his wins, all of his wins, if you actually look at who he fought and where they were at in their careers, I don't believe that Ulberg deserves a shot. So listen, go through Ankalaev. And if Ankalaev beats him, he's right there, right in the mix. If Ulberg beats him, then you might as well say goodbye to Ankalaev, because the UFC are going to throw him to the absolute curb. But, that being said, we could talk about it, but he's the one who's going to have to put in the work. And is he willing to go through the fire again and again and again? Only time will tell.